What's going on, guys? Welcome to NFT Marketplace and Dojo. My name is Carmen. We have Nathmar here. The other gentleman will not be joining us, but we have a lot to talk about, right? So one of the things that we are really going to spend some time talking about is how to navigate this new market. We're going to talk about the recovery. We're going to talk about what we think is going to return to its greatness and what we think might end up not crashing, but kind of sitting where it is. With it might be the new normal. So before we get to that, though, we always really want to review the week. So Nathmar, we've got the first. So we'll look at the comic books first. We've got Loki, Killmonger, and Bishop for this week. Which one do you think had the best bang for your buck?
Oh, I mean, I would definitely say Killmonger and Bishop. I mean, I'm more of an X-Men fan, but I know Bishop is like we were just talking about it earlier in the physical comic space. It's overprinted versus Killmonger seems to be getting some heat lately from Disney. I would still go with Bishop because he's an X-Men and X-Men. There's actually speculation too that Bishop might show up in the Doctor Strange movie. Not confirmed, but somebody I read a spec somewhere that they said it's possible he might show up. So
yeah, I like the Bishop pick too. The Loki thing, I get it, but I just feel like in my brain, I feel like we might see Loki in Doctor Strange because of the multiverse thing, and he's kind of doing all of that stuff. So that might just be a quick kind of.
Loki is more of a PC. If I was gonna buy, I wouldn't invest in it. I was thinking about just getting buy a low price common just for the PC. But I'm waiting for it to go like dip under whatever $7 or $6 or whatever.
Yeah, I think what's funny about books like that one and a lot of these dollar bin books. I guess we'll start calling them essentially. They are a very nice investment if you want a cheap, rare comic book for MCP.
True. So if FCP is your target, yes, you can probably look for a bunch of these dollar bin NFTs and just load up so you can get a lot of that MCP points. I agree.
Yeah, I'm starting, and it only just occurred to me that I guess if there's utility for those things, that's probably what it is. Is like trying to scoop those up just for the MCP and keeping it moving.
But if it's utility, I would focus more on the collectibles, right? Because I don't know if comics has too much utility unless you're gonna open like a comic book store.
No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. I just meant utility for the MCP. Just like if you're just trying to find a use for them in general. Yep. Like that Fantastic Four giant sized annual thing, that they drop for Valentine's Day. So those are kind of, I'm trying to make sense of them. The Killmonger one was interesting. I like the theory that we might get him back in a Black Panther film. I think if I'm a comic book guy or gal, and I like the fan theory stuff, maybe I head out to my LCS and I try and find a raw copy of that book just because I'm trying to read the tea leaves a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. No, because like you saw in the multiverse Disney Plus show, right? They made him appear as a different Killmonger. So he's definitely, and then I think, I've been noticing a lot of people selling Killmonger physical comics lately. I think there's also speculation that he might show up again. It may be the Black Panther next movie, right? Or something like that. So it's possible.
Yeah, but I think I'm with you though. My pick of those comics is for sure Bishop. I love him. I have, a couple copies for a couple of floppies for my personal collection, and I just like him as a character. Yep. He's just awesome. I'm reading, the X-Men reboot that happened in 2019, I guess. All of the who wrote it? Off the top of my head, I forget. But the guy who wrote all of those runs, he's like a major player in the Marauders series. And that's probably my favorite X-Men series that's new for sure.
Oh, yeah. And even when I was a kid, that series was at the heyday when I was collecting the X-Men. Plus, the artist is Filipino, so he's got my support. And his art is incredible. So, and he was definitely one of my favorite characters when I was a big X-Men fan when I was a kid. So, Bishop is. I have a lot of his copies too. So, this might. I heard he might appear. If he appears in the in the movie, that'll be awesome. Forget it.
Did you see the fan art of Method Man as Bishop?
Oh no, I did not see that.
Oh man, it's wild. Like seeing Method Man as Bishop, you're like, oh
Oh, I might have seen something that looks like badass. I think, right?
yeah, like 100%.
The handkerchief and everything, right?
Yeah. All right, so those are the comics. Let's just real quick touch on the comic for tomorrow. You were excited. What?
Oh,
How do you feel about it? What are you willing to spend on it?
oh shoot! For you're talking about Ghost Rider.
I'm talking about Ghost
Oh
Rider.
man, Ghost Rider. See, the thing is, for me, I try not to buy anything the first couple days after a drop, unless I see a deal. My goal is always to get like multiples, right? So 10 to 20 for commons, and then get some high mints as much as possible, like the rarities, like at least a few rares, ultra rares, and SR if they're within range. So I would, but I'm kind of worried that the prices might go bonkers. So I have a feeling I'll probably just get one and then just wait it out, right? And wait till the prices go up, and then after a few hours or days, then they'll start going down again. So I'm gonna wait till when it's back down, down the prices go down.
Yeah, I could see it opening at like 30 anymore. That it just seems because actually I'll check it right now. My
The editions, are they standard editions like 21,000,
let me see.
etc.?
We are looking at so there's 30,000 of them. But there was 30,000 of that Black Panther book. Black Panther 1
The Black Panther one.
and
Yeah, I mean, I
they
was
opened at 30
it
and
went up. I think it went up to 60s or 70s, right?
it did. It did. And I think if there's a hero and a comic that will send fans into a frenzy, it's probably this book. Now that Black Panther 1 is still at 32. And that's a 30,000 mint. That's a 30,000 mint book too. And I'm thinking, maybe this is just personal opinion, but I definitely see Ghost Rider being way more popular than that Black Panther book.
Well, it depends too, though, right? So, because like the non-collectors, we're comic book collectors, right? So we
Right.
know easily that last year, I was telling some people, Ghost Rider 9.8 sold for what, over 250K or something like that. That's how big a grail Ghost Rider is. But the first, what's that, Okoye, Black Panther 1, I mean, she's been appearing in the Avengers movies, Black Panther movies, and Disney Plus. So people who are new to the space, they're more familiar with her, right? So
Yeah.
but if you're a collector like us who've been here longer term, we know I'm stacking up on Ghost Rider, right? As much as I can, because this is just one of the grails. Actually, I sold all my physical, so this is my way to get back to the comic before I get the physicals again. So
Yeah, those physicals. I mean, my brother snagged a physical, I think for like it was a 7.5. I think he got it for like $800. And now, I mean, now you're paying 3, I think, or something close. You're paying $3,000, I think, for that book. So hopefully, I heard Norman Reedus is like campaigning.
yeah, I think he might be a good fit because he's a motorcycle guy, right?
Yeah,
So
yep, absolutely. All right, so the other things from this week, we've got this Aston Martin
Aston Martin.
has. So I've been following it, and I
I
think,
wanted one, dude. I wanted one so bad. So
yeah, so I wasn't. I'm not sold on any static drive. I'm not automobile or car or anything. Anything that's static now, I'm like, well, is it just going to be decorative? Because if it's just decorative, you may as well just really shoot for the moon and try and get the interactive stuff. I think that's why I was so excited about the motorcycle, because it was interactive right from the jump. and I feel like that's kind of still pretty undervalued. Um, so the Aston Martin drivable interactive car, I think is it like 7K, I believe.
Yep.
The one of seven 007 license plates.
Like
Last time I
900K,
checked, 10 million gems
10 million. Nice.
at auction. The question is, do you think someone actually writes that check and pays that money for that NFT?
Oh no, definitely not yet. I don't think we have that many big mega whales, right? I mean, the only big whales that we know are the usuals, right? The Dr. Profits and the other dude, I forgot his name. So I don't know if there's anybody who can pay 10 million unless you're like Justin Bieber or Stephen Curry, right? So
Right.
or Elon Musk. I heard he's buying NFTs. So
So
unless if those guys are here, then maybe they can buy 10 million bucks is a lot of beans.
it's a lot. Now, I will say that this is, I think if I am uber wealthy and I create a collectibles company and I maybe want to write off, right? I don't know if it all works this way, but you can probably maybe pull that trigger, especially if money's like whatever anyway for you. But I will say this, if that 10 million gem purchase is legitimate, it absolutely makes the news. Whoever bought it is going to flaunt it because that's what you do when you spend $10 million on something.
Yep.
And I think if that happens, I think we start to see the CryptoPunk Bored Ape momentum really come crashing down onto the app.
Hmm.
I think for marketing alone, geez, if I'm Vivi, I'm thinking like a record label because I know record labels do this kind of stuff all the time. If I'm Vivi, I find someone that is already super famous and I make a deal with them
They
and
promote it.
give them the money to win it. And this way, that's better marketing, I think, than any other type of marketing that you can do.
Yeah,
You
no, I agree. I mean, if they get some big rich whales like jump in and buy these, it's gonna be. I mean, I post stuff on our NFT chat all the time whenever somebody rich or pop or big whales like buy a mega NFT, right? So if they buy that type of NFTs and it gets promoted, like I'm sure other people will, like think of like a some rich dude that you look up to. I don't know, or that you hear all the time, right? Like what
right.
Zuckerberg or maybe some big artist or basketball player LeBron James.
Or like
So
a Snoop Dogg. I mean, he's
or
already
Snoop
got a
Dogg.
mansion.
Yep, yep. I'm buying NFTs. I'm buying this sports car, Aston Martin from Vivi. That's gonna definitely help promote the marketplace. I agree.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how all that shakes out. You know what's crazy is the static really, it was almost kind of it's definitely not a waste of money because it doubled in value. So if you want it, you can flip it. But I think, we're going to talk about this later on, when we talk about the things that maybe won't recover. I'm curious to see what happens to the Aston Martin static once all the dust settles. Like, will it just become a 300 gem display collectible,
Hmm.
as opposed to something that's drivable? I'm surprised. I know that the DeLorean recovered a bit. I think it's around like it's like flirted with 900 again as
Yeah,
far as gems are concerned. But I'm curious to see once the Aston Martin drivable stuff starts to take off, if the DeLorean takes off, and then we start to see everything else jump again.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's all about the utility in VV verse, right? If the metaverse comes up for VV, I think if once we hear that there's like places that you can only get to if you have a car from VV, like a DeLorean or an Aston Martin, then maybe it will take off some more. Or yeah, I think that's one of the only ways that this will pick up in value more at this point.
yeah, and I'm really bullish on on the utility. I mean, half of my collectibles are I personally, and I'm not. I don't know if anybody should do this or not. This might be a bad bet, but half of my collectibles I've purchased with utility in mind for
Oh,
renting and everything else. Because I'm telling you one thing, the more I think about it, if the casino from Casino Royale is a casino that you can get to in the Viviverse, and you need the Aston Martin to access that casino,
nice.
it gets really good, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, you'll get treated the VIP treatment if you drive in with the Aston Martin versus driving in with I don't know, with your
uh,
motorcycle.
right, my Triumph motorcycle for sure, 100%. So the last thing that we found out about this week was MTL. So what are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about the process?
Wow, yeah, no, I'm excited that they mentioned beta now. So it means like they're inviting more people, and then we're getting close. Hopefully, within 2 months or less, they'll start opening it up to everybody. So I'm excited. I think we've all been waiting for it. I don't think the market's gonna crash anymore that much because it's crashed a few times already in anticipation of MTL. So now it's all about people like me. I want to sell probably 5-10% and just take some profits. So I'm starting to look at which ones I wanted to sell, and then sell in MTL. So from my perspective, I definitely wanted to cash out. So I think I'm excited because I've been waiting for it for, like, I don't know, 6 months now, right? So and I think it's gonna give a little bit of legitimacy for the platform, because now everybody's like, it's a true uh I don't know, investment type uh, platform where you can invest and actually make money and then cash out, right? And you don't just put money in and nothing comes back out, right? So I think it's really good and a big step for making the platform legitimate.
Right. Yeah, I you took the words right out of my mouth. I think it's going to change the landscape of Vivi completely. I think anybody I know who was reluctant is probably going to jump in,
Yep,
just because I don't know why you wouldn't. Even our comic book circles,
yep,
for a really long time, it was like, I can't get my money out. Why would I ever do that? Now it's like, if you're a comic book guy or gal, I again, not financial advice. It is what it is. My opinion. But I think if you're a comic book guy or gal, you kind of owe it to yourself to
check it out.
pull the trigger on some of these books, because we don't know what it's going to look like 2 years from now. And comic books, Sean's not here, but I'm sure he would say something along the lines of, it is tried and true art that has been, tested, and it's not going anywhere. And I think comic books are here to stay. And this is probably the best way to, like, diversify.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
there is a portion of collectors that I know, they're more into making a profit or making money off comics, right? So, and they're not joining the market because there's no direct way of cashing out. So that portion of the market is gonna start coming in. It's still not all of the collectors, right? There's still a lot of collectors that are not sold on NFTs, but the people who are in it for profit, they
yeah,
have it's in their best interest to take a look at a platform where you can actually buy something, you can flip, or you can grow your investments and see where it goes, right? So
sure. Now, I guess, speaking of investments and flipping, we've got some. The interesting thing about MTL is you've got that 10%. There's some rules.
yeah,
Like, we're not. It's not. I mean, there's rules with eBay too. So and there's rules with everything, but you've got to have 1K gems, right? You
1K.
need you need 1,000 gems in your wallet,
Yep,
just almost like you're kind of staking 1,000 gems, right?
yep.
Then it's a 50 gem minimum, right? Is
Uh,
that
oh, I forgot the minimum, but I know there's a 50K per day, something like that,
yes?
right?
There's a 50K cash out.
Cash out. Is it per day or per week or something like
I
that?
think it's per day.
Per day. Okay.
Um, but there's a sell, like what you're selling there. You have to cash out. I think it's a minimum of 50 gems or something along those lines.
Mhm.
And there's that they take 10%.
You take 10% for the MTL cash out fee.
Yes, and they said that your bank might hit you with a $35 wire fee. And if you're selling a Disney collectible, you're losing
8.5%.
25%.
Yep. 8.5%. Yep.
So as much as people were, and I'm not them, I don't know their financial situations, but as much as people were saying they wanted MTL, they wanted MTL, they wanted MTL, this is a little bit more like chess and a little less like checkers, right? Like you got to have everything moving in the right way for it to really work out in your favor.
Yeah.
You're not going to sell a 300 gem collectible and then go cash out.
Well, it depends. If you just bought that same collectible for like 280 bucks, 280 gems, selling it for 300, you make a loss, right? So you cannot, right? So now you have to be strategic, right? If you have to calculate the fees. If the total fees are whatever, what was that, 40, 50%? So you got to make at least like, I don't know, 80% or 100% on your investment before you take it out so you can make a profit. So you cannot sell with like 50%. That's break even, right?
Yeah. And I'm curious to see what happens in that aftermarket world, right? Like, why would, someone may end up just try to buy the collectible outright from someone as opposed to, and it might be in your best interest to sell the collectible outright, I guess, given depending on the circumstances and if everything is good to go, than it is to like try and cash out to get the cash, because you got to go through all these loopholes. And I'm really curious about, and I'll say this, I don't know, I don't think I have the discipline for it to always have 1K gems
Mm-hmm.
in my wallet at
Yeah.
all times. I don't think I've ever had, and I've been collecting since August. I don't think I've ever had 1K gems in my account. I think I'm constantly buying and selling stuff, because I think you're going to see people probably going to have to be a little conservative, because you're going to be thinking, well, I could buy this thing right now, but I'm not going to have the gems to be able to cash out this other thing, you know. So I don't know. Are you going to cash anything out?
I have to look because like I told you, right? I was trying to start looking at things that I wanted to sell, and I have a hard time selling because I'm so attached to my investments. So I'm probably gonna look at the ones that I have like 20 copies of, like the Batgirls, maybe some of my what do you call this? So
20, you're 20 Batgirls.
20 Batgirls, or some of my like 20 copies of like UF4s, or Fantastic Four FF1s, maybe sell one of each or whatever, just to get like maybe raise 5-10K in gems and then try to cash that out, something like that. I'll probably look into. I
Yeah,
mean, I might even sell one of the big grails like an R2D2 or C3PO also, or one Superman, just so I can like raise 10 or 20K in gems right away. So that's kind of
right.
something I was thinking about.
Yeah, nice, nice. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think about like when I would cash out, and I'm one of the few, because it seems like, even in our circle, everybody's talking MTL. I'm kind
Yeah.
of in this more long haul. Like, I don't really.
Exactly, because we're not. See, that's the thing. Like when we argued in the VV group that hey, we wanted MTL, and people start saying, hey, if you want to just leave, leave. I was like, that's not the point, dude. We just want liquidity. We're not leaving. I bought a lot more SRs this week, and I'm just gonna take some profit, probably 10%, 15%, and why not? If I made like 100 times, 10 times, 20 times, or some of them even 100 time gains, right? Why would you not take some profit? So it just I think
Listen,
it's just, yeah, it gives a collectors a better opportunity, right? So
if I'm the guy that makes 10 million gems selling this Aston Martin,
sheesh,
I'm out. I'm
uh,
selling. And that's the other thing. I don't know. Did they think about? Will they have that money like available when if
I
everybody.
I brought this. I Oh shoot, that's right. If somebody brought it and 10 million, see that's odd. That means somebody's gonna. Yeah, I brought this up. It's the same concept. If somebody buys it, because somebody's gonna put in 10 million bucks, and they made that sale, so now it goes to that seller. But Vive still has that also that the success fee for that. So if somebody buys it, then yes, they should have the liquidity. They can't
That
just
makes
like
sense.
say, "I have this Aston Martin, give me 10 million VV." You have to sell it still.
Right, right. That makes sense. All right, so on to we're gonna go with pick of the week. Um, what did you see this week? And I know in the past we've done, how would you spend 1,000 gems? And I think over the last couple of weeks we kind of been saying the same thing. So we wanted to give people something a little bit different as far as perspective is concerned.
Yep.
So let's throw out money well spent, I think, and more so a good buy for this week. What would you pick, knowing just the landscape as you have seen it so far?
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you want a golden moments, I think Lady in the Tramp and Donald or Daisy are within reach. They're 1K. Some of them I think are under 1K. So if you don't have a golden moments yet, those you can take a look. I like Donald and Daisy more than Lady in the Tramp, but both of them they hopefully will double or triple, when the market picks up. I've been hunting, I think, SRs. Any SRs for first appearances that are under 500, I think are something that you might want to consider. I have bought a few Bishops, Killmonger, Luke Cages.
Now, why? What's the logic behind that?
My logic there is I think they're easily, when the market picks up, they're going to be over 1K at least. I mean, it's possible they can become 2K within 3 years or maybe sooner, but I think 1K is possible once the market picks up. So at the minimum, Bishop, if I bought them for 200 plus, it goes to 1K, then that's like 4x, right? So that's not bad. I think 1K is possible for these SRs. And the number, I think it's like less than 50 for these SRs. So I think there's the supply is low, and then once people see the same thing that they're cheap, people will start buying them, and then next thing you know, there's like only 5 or 10 of these SRs in the market.
Yeah,
So
that's a solid point that I don't think I ever considered. There just aren't that many of them, and I think how many of them are there total on the market? 1,500, I think, or
oh, I
500.
don't know what the total is. So it
It,
depends. Are you talking about all of the SRs?
just in general. So if there's a 30K book, so let's look at tomorrow's Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Um, so there's 500 on a 30K mint book. There's only 500 SRs.
Hmm.
So, yeah, to your point, if 500 people, and that's not a lot, want to collect every SR from every book, yeah, I mean, there's just not enough of them.
There's not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it going to a K really does make a lot of sense. It's a great point.
Yep. I mean, those I saw the Journey into Mystery 85, the first Loki. If it's under, I think it's 50s now. So anything under 60, I think it's a good deal there. Um, yeah, I mean, those are the big ones. Bishops definitely. I think pick of the week. I like Bishops. I'm an X-Men fan. I think it's a good buy if you wanted to invest in X-Men.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, my pick. So, oh, wait, it happened
Somebody
while
said
we
somebody said 600 for the mints. So maybe
were okay.
600 SRs. It's possible.
Okay. So this just happened while we were on the phone. I'm not on the phone. While we were just moving through this, I glanced over about 5-10 minutes ago and hit the buy button on a Wonder Woman.
Oh, you did?
So
Nice.
wait, and that Wonder Woman is my pick of the week.
Nice.
Because so I got it for 520. And
Yep.
it was a 4K mint, and I knew had I waited, probably would have ran away. So I think, like I said before we went live, I think Wonder Woman is one of those collectibles. There are a couple DC collectibles that are in this world of whatever their max was, they're at about 1/3 value, and I think they're probably going to retrace because I think more DC. I think we're just going to get more fans in general.
Yep.
Um, So I really like Wonder Woman because I think she was as high as 1,700. She's at like 5-ish right now. I think specifically for this week, Catwoman is a great buy. She was as high as 650. She's right around 250-ish. Again, I think at least for the week, just to see how the movie does. We've also talked about how you don't really see as much movement with these objects when a movie comes out that we do see with hard copy comic books.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, so it's kind of. I think it'll come, right? I think at some point they'll be connected. I think especially once people see, because we do notice. I think it's a lot of these characters that are being released are tied to something coming up in the movies or TVs. So as people notice that more and more, there's more connection, or there's some tie up, people will start saying, "Oh, it might be a good investment," right? And then it's one of those indicators that will help pump like one of your investments to go up, like in the physical comic world. So
Right, right. Yeah, so for me, Wonder Woman, Catwoman, Robin,
Robin,
the Damian Wayne he was as high as like 350, 375. You can get him for 160, 175 right now. Batgirl, we talked about.
Batgirl. There's a movie.
I think that Batgirl, first of all, I think it's one of the dopest looking NFTs on the platform. I just think it's super cool.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think Batgirl's probably one of them. Storm was in that 3x range. I think she's since moved up. I think because at one point she was like 57, 58.
yep.
Then
Still,
she jumped back up to like 80s, and now I think she's at like the high 70s. Anything that you think might 3x is probably a good pick. The comics are, I think the Deadpool New Mutants 98 it was as high as 75. If you can get it for $25 right now and you're okay with holding on to it for a month, I think that's a win. Tales of Suspense 52, the Black Widow book,
yep.
also seems to be a good pick. Everything else is kind of strange. If the Jim Lee Joker dips back down to like 700, I think that's a great buy.
I think it's picked up again. It's near 1K now again. I
Oh,
think
really?
it's picked up again.
So and I had mentioned this in the group. If you bought my guy Joey Bats, Joe Batman, I think if you bought him yesterday, you almost doubled your money today because it was as high as almost 1,200, and he was as low as like 750 yesterday. So not straight double, but you're pretty close. Now I know he's also scaled back a little bit, but if you can catch him on like a dip, that's probably worth it. Everything else is tough. Like even a Todd, you find yourself in this weird spot where I don't know. Well, I think if Todd doubles, yeah, we're back at 12, but he's not going to triple. So I think it's a matter of like what sort of investing you want to do. You know what I mean? If you're trying to find these 3x come ups, there really aren't. It's not a huge playing field of things to buy.
Yeah.
I think almost everything's going to double in like 2 months.
Yeah, even partners, right? Isn't partners now like 20s, 25s or some 25K? So
Yeah.
it might double again because that's where it was. It was 40s, I think, right? The floor was before the market crash. So if you can double it, but it seems like high risk for you to pay that kind of money just to get 2x when you can get it in something cheaper like Batgirl or something, right?
Right. And that's kind of where my head's at. And this is the first time I think I'm going to say this since we've been doing this show. I think because of that theory, UF4 is probably not a good buy right now.
Oh,
Because it seems counterintuitive. It's just so strong that I just don't. I know. I just don't think there's room. Because here's the thing. I think everything has room to grow, right?
Yes.
But going back to that, like retracing, because UF4 hasn't fallen all that much. Like the UF4 uncommon was at one point down to 60 inventory and 20 sales away from 300. You know, it was flirting with like 195 or whatever. You're not even doubling your money if you
Yeah.
buy that book, unless everything pops, which is a whole different thing. I'm
Yeah.
talking about going back to like neutral of where we were in January.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're looking at which one has more upside versus the one that can get to where it is, I guess you have to make a decision, right? Where you can get the quickest way to get to 3x, right? So yeah, since that didn't go down that much, so it might not be the best deal if you wanted 3x. If you want 3x, go with the Wonder Woman. Yeah, 1500. I think that's doable, right?
or
So
buy 10 New Mutant 98s and just hold on to dear life. And when it gets to 75, unload all of them. You know what I mean?
yes, yes.
Okay, so we just talked about what the picks of the week are, and we're talking about recovery, right? What's going to go 3x? I think we've all come to the conclusion that not everything is going to 3x. Not everything. I mean, we might have a new status quo for some collectibles on the platform. So what do you think? We kind of just talked about what might go 3x and 2x. What do you think is going to stay where it is for the most part?
Oh, so I think some people might hate us, right, by saying these things, but
That word, yes, we're not picking a fight, but it's going to sound that way.
I think the Croc versus Batman might stick where it is. It's right now, is it 500s, right? I don't know if it's gonna
No,
hit
I think it climbed back to 650.
650. Okay, 650 is not
Did you end
bad.
up buying one, by the way?
I have not bought yet one. I'm waiting for it to get hit 300.
Dude, you're a savage.
No,
That,
I might buy. We'll see. If I sell my gems and I have a lot of extra ones, I do want to get one for the PC. I'm not sure about investment, but I do want to get one. But ideally near the 400 range, I think might be more my target.
now, I
So
think it cracked into the high fours at one point, maybe.
it was close. It was
Yeah.
close. Um, but even still, I didn't feel like it was still enough for me to pull the trigger because it's a PC, and I don't like spending too much on PC stuff, right? So there's the lenticulars. I think those have been dropping. I'm not sure if they're gonna pick up again, although it's possible. Like 10 years down the road, people will argue that the first edition is really the first appearance. So it's possible that they say this is the true first appearance of Minnie, Mickey, etc. in the VV platform. So they can argue that it's possible. So uh, and the DC cover girls, those a lot of them have dropped significantly. So
Yeah,
I'm not
that's season 2.
yeah, I'm not sure if they're gonna pop as much, but maybe they'll pop like a little bit. But a lot of them, I don't think they're gonna go hard and go up as much. So
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. Especially, I think. I mean, the market's going to decide ultimately, but I look at that third that Frank Cho Supergirl is gorgeous.
yep, I do
Um,
want one too, and I still have not bought it. But it's gotten low, so
it
I'm
was as low
monitoring.
as 130. I was very close to pulling the trigger.
174. Yeah, I was close to. It's a PC stuff, so but I don't want to go crazy with PC stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where you just have these other items that are in its way. You know, if I'm going to spend 200 on that, right? I'll just buy the first Batgirl or a Robin, or there are these other first appearances that ultimately take precedence um, over some of these other buys. So I think, yeah, that
Black Panthers, you can probably get a Black Panther instead, right? So
correct.
it's the first
Um,
appearance, still under $100 for the commons uncommon. So
I think you're going to kill me. I think some of those mighties, man. I
no.
think I just do. I love them. Some of them I think are hideous, but some of the mighties I just think become. So I guess we have to really separate them. I think Doom is a different animal. I think I think I think that Green Goblin is probably undervalued.
The Green Goblin
No.
definitely it dropped a lot, but it's still high, I think. So
Okay.
I mean that's 500, right?
Oh
But it
yeah,
was like
that's
I
right
think it
there
was
with
like
Red Skull.
yeah, no, the it's 560 for the floor is 568 for the Green Goblin, but I think when it came out, it was like 800, 900. I think floor. So it's definitely nearly half of what it is, but 500 is still yeah, it's like Red Skull. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want one, but 500 beans, I don't know if I want to shell 500 beans for it. I'd rather get the comic book version, right? So,
Right, and they seem like anytime there's a dip, people unload them. Like they are kind of this again, they're like the fodder of the market where when thing is at 30, people buy a whole bunch of them, and then when thing gets to 80, people kind of unload them, and then you know, um that's
that's a good point. That's a good point. I think in the market we have to monitor, right? When there's something really cool that comes out and everybody says, "Shoot, I want a Black Panther," they're gonna start looking at which ones they have right now. They want to sell them, right? And then sell. Hey, let me sell these lenticulars, or let me sell these, whatever mermicorns or whatever you have that are useless, and then get the cool new NFT drop, right? So
yeah, yeah, and I think I guess this could real quick undervalued um Falcon can still 3x out of all the mighties. Falcon is still in that 3x world. I don't think there's any other mighty that's in that world yet.
yep.
Um, but I'm curious to see what happens, especially the Fantastic Fours. And I feel like Vivi kind of shot themselves in the foot with the Invisible Woman drop. I think she is doomed to the land of like that common Sue Storm. I think is
You're talking about the second appearance?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those are hideous. I think, right? The that designer, whoever designed that, and even I think it's the same designer as the Black Panther. They're the text, the size of the head and the positions are like really awkward. So they're very hideous. I don't know. They
yeah,
probably need to hire a better designer there.
yeah. Now I wonder if so far I feel like almost all of the DC collectibles have looked better,
Hmm.
but they don't move.
They don't move.
So
Yep.
this is ignorance on my part. I imagine the Marvel realistic collectibles probably all look the way they look because they move, and there's probably some sort of requirements like to make it all manageable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's possible.
but I think a lot of those are specifically Sue Storm kind of stuck there. I agree with you with Batcroc. I know we're gonna get hate for that, but I think Batcroc is probably on a bad day 350, on a great day 700, and
Yeah.
it's probably going to operate in that place. All of the Harley Quinns, the red, white, and
Harley
black,
Quinn.
I think
Yep.
they're going to sort of sit in that world. Um, the Artist Alley, Batgirl, like anything that's second appearance is really going to become more of uh, personal favorite, just PC type stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Although I do want that Batgirl too, the one with the bat, right? It's 50s now. I'm waiting for it to get to 40s or 30s, then I'll get one.
Yeah, nice, nice. I think a lot of these, and we have experience with it. I think where other people don't. Um, we are accustomed to a J. Scott Campbell cover that people like because it's just cool, right? Or an Alex Ross or whatever. We're familiar with purchasing books for personal collections just because you think it's cool, and we know what that price point looks like in comparison to these other books, right?
Yeah.
Where I think anybody who's not in the collector world doesn't really know what that is. So when something new drops, people are like, "Oh my god, it looks cool. It's probably going to be worth more than this other thing." When we're kind of like, no, just the rules of collecting and investing in collectibles doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we definitely have our rules, right? Like, I mean, I have my rules. You guys see what I collect, and I try to stick when I'm investing. I try to stick to some of them, and I try to do go less unless if there's a first appearance. I definitely focus on those. On key characters, I focus on those. I won't just buy uh, like second appearances, third appearances as much. I'm not gonna go hard. I'll get one for the PC, but I'm not gonna go. Even with traditional comics, I won't go there, right? But if it's first appearance, I'll go hard on those. Those are the ones. Even though it's gonna take a hit short term, I'm a long term holder. So looking at 5, 10 years down the road, the first appearances of Black Panther more than likely 10 years is gonna hold, right? So I think those are good buys, but I'm not just gonna buy them. I want to buy them at a good price. I like value, and I want to make sure I'm getting it at the best deal. So
Right, right. And especially with now with the 10% MTL in mind and the 8% Disney
you
with,
have to hold. You can't just sell right away unless the market's ripping, right? If it's ripping, then sure, sell it right away. But right now it's slow. It's a slow roll, so you have to hold at least I don't know, 1 year to 3 years or something like that, right? To get that, you need to get at least 80% or 100% gain to make a profit, I think.
right. Right, and even something else that just popped into my head that I'm starting to see stagnate. Not all golden moments are created equal. I think we're starting to see with like the Wall-E and the pizza
Well,
car
yeah.
and the skateboard.
Mhm.
Some of these things, I don't think they're bad buys, but I think again, it's like those might be PC things unless Disney pulls the trigger on some sort of utility, which will change our everything. Like if
Yep.
we even the lenticular cards, I think if those lenticular cards have some sort of function in Magic Kingdom, it's a wrap. Like now we're playing a different game.
Yeah.
But if all things stay the way they are,
Yeah,
we
or the big key golden moments start picking up, then it's gonna bring everything up again, right? Like once like partners again and Iron Man, Avengers, R2D2, C3PO are again over 10K, then everybody's gonna go after the next ones, right? Which is those Sorcerer's Hat, Elsa, or whatever, Lady and Tramp, or
yeah,
Wally's and stuff like that. So it's
yeah,
possible once market picks up again.
for sure, for sure. Um, any final thoughts on where we are, some of the things that you're seeing, some of the things. What's the next curiosity you have? Because we got some answers with MTL. What would you like to see next as far as what VV plans to do?
Oh, I mean, definitely want them to do the full launch of MTL, and then see where people will start buying and selling, knowing that they can cash out now. So it will be interesting to see where the market goes. It's possible the the collectibles that really went up that didn't make sense will still continue to drop, and then everybody will start putting it into like the true real investment NFTs, which is the first appearances or the ones that have that we know are grails, like the comics, the key comics, etc. It's possible it might trend towards that now versus like before everything was just going bonkers, right? So and VV is also gonna keep dropping more NFTs. So people have to be smart now with where they wanted to park their money. You can't just have like 1,000 NFTs. Now you want to just probably focus on like I don't know, like 10, 20 like really big key NFTs. So I think a possible consolidation of people understanding now I can't just like grab the first I don't know Misty Knight or I hate to say whoever bought like all those Falcons, right? They'll be like, why did I get all Falcons when you could have got like first Ghost Rider instead, right? So, that's like a bigger grade. You got to be smart where you put your money. So,
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. This idea of you're just not going to be able to stack the way that it works because I mean we're getting 3 comic books a week.
a week, yep,
Sometimes I feel like it's almost 4 sometimes because we're getting the news about Monday's comics so early um, that you really are going to have to pay a little bit more attention to what you're pulling the trigger on, unless you got money like that, and it doesn't really matter anyway.
yeah.
Um, I'm curious to see what happens to these decon and indie artist collectibles. I know you grab. What did you grab? You grabbed.
I grabbed a few. I grabbed that rabbit from Jermaine. Was that Jermaine Rogers?
Yeah,
And I like the some of the artwork from those rabbit artworks. I forgot the name, so I picked a couple of them. I like to diversify with some of these like indies too. So I think some of them down the road might start picking up because I think like their artwork. I think art has some upside if, but you have to like them, right? So I only buy the ones that I like. So what else? Those are some of the key ones that I picked. I picked up that specimen. That's kind of cheesy, but I don't know. I bought another Stay Puffed. The Night Watch, that's the name of the rabbit. So I got that blue guy, the blue rabbit. I
yeah.
was with that one because that was expensive before, and now I was able to get three of them now.
No way, really?
Yes, yes,
No way.
they used to be $800. Now they're like I think 300 or something like that. So they're cheap now. Once the market picks up, I can see these definitely hitting 1,000 again when the market picks up. So
Right. And I guess too, as much as we're talking about comic book collectors and comic book investors being a little reluctant to enter the market, now that MTL's here, there's a really great chance that we have a lot of these reluctant art collectors now entering the picture, and there are far, far fewer of those indie artist items than there are other things, right? Like if there's only 1,500 editions and that artist has a following and their followers weren't jumping in because they couldn't get their money out, but now they can,
yep.
it
No,
adds a
no, I agree. I think art those have a lot untapped potential. So they're like if you follow the if you I'm assuming a lot of the OpenSea NFTs are all indies, right? But there's a lot of fakes there. A lot of people like there's a lot of scams that like we see it on the news all the time. Here, these indie artists are licensed and they're protected. So people like us when we buy something, we know it's licensed, right? It's not like in OpenSea. There's a good chance that some of them might be fake or they're not licensed, or you buy something that's stolen, right? So I think a lot of indies might. Oh shoot, I was thinking about it. The only negative here is I don't know how much cut they give the artist versus how much Vivi gets, right? Because in OpenSea, they get an artist will theoretically get all of the profits. Here, I don't know what the percentage is that the artist gets and Vivi gets. So that's something to explore. That's possible. One reason why there's less indie artists here.
now. I think you touched on a good point. This idea of if you hear a lot of talk about OpenSea, and you
Mhm.
hear a lot of talk about decentralization, and that's the point of the NFT, and that's why OpenSea is so good. But now we're starting to see the risk of that sort of platform. If someone were to ask you why VV everything's centralized,
Mhm.
what would you say to them?
I mean, at least there's a centralized means there's a lot of at least that VV will make sure that the quality is there. I think it's like comparing them with an open marketplace like Apple does versus Android. Apple is they prefer all of their apps are being used or consumed by their devices, so they can control to make sure that the apps function well with their devices versus like Android, like they have it open and there's a lot of crappy software there. So I think here you'll see the same thing because I work in tech, right? So I see that if they limit the control, they actually have more control in Vivi. They are able to make sure that the quality is high and they get good brands and they make sure nobody tries to scam you. They make sure that the quality of art is a certain criteria or it gets signed off from Disney or whatnot. Versus like OpenSea, there's a lot of risk there because there's a lot of scams. But there's a lot of. I still would not say. Um, I wouldn't say no to OpenSea because it's where independent artists can actually thrive from being nobody, and then you suddenly I've posted a lot of articles. They suddenly make a few 100K, 500K, a few $1 million, from posting their own art. So there's a lot of potential for independent artists to get rich in OpenSea. But for us, for buyers, we just have to do extra vetting, right? To make sure you're not buying a scam or you're not buying something that was not licensed. You have to do due diligence. You can't just go in there and just buy without even understanding if it's real or something that it was the true creator. So you have to do your vetting in OpenSea. Here, we don't have to do that as much because we know Vivi has already done it, right? So um, and I mean, there's pros and cons, but for us too, because we're comic book collectors, so it's easy for us to go to Vivi also because all of the comic books are here. So it's easy for us to say, hey, we go where the comic books are, right? So, but if the comic books were in OpenSea, I might consider buying stuff there. If Disney decides to sell all their comics in OpenSea next, then hey, I might go there too, right? So because we go where the comics are, right? So
Yeah, I'm curious to see if eventually you're going to see that OpenSea becomes this, it stays this indie playground, and then Vivi will start poaching talent from OpenSea and start almost like a major record label, right? Kind of like
yeah,
looking at these indie record labels and then grooming people and then bringing them up to that next platform because of what they can provide as far as security and everything else is concerned.
it's possible that the guys who can't make it in OpenSea will be like, okay, let's make a deal with Vivi because like I can't seem to sell anything in OpenSea. It's just flooded. And then at least you go to OpenSea, they like you, then they'll sell you, and it gets sold out like almost guaranteed, right? So it's possible that might happen. I mean, if I was an independent artist, I'd probably still prefer to go to OpenSea, so I have full control of my product and I get 100% of my commission or sales versus
Right.
like here I have no idea how much does Vivi get from selling their products. I have no idea.
Right. Now, do you think um, once MTL comes, um, are you thinking that we will see more decon type stuff, or do you think
Mm.
it's going to be kind of status quo as far as how things are rolling out?
It's possible if I'm sure Vivi is marketing to independent artists that hey, we can make you an easy 200 300K, and we constantly have sold multiple products of Frank Cho's or these independent artists like Jermaine Rogers, right? And they made 200 300K easy money. So if you wanted you wanted a platform who will help market for you and promote you, you don't have to do marketing, then yes, this might be somewhere you might consider.
I didn't even think of that, right? This
Yep.
this idea of, we already have our network, we already have our users, we're already plugging you into people that are willing to
Yep.
pay X amount of dollars for this thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great sell. And now that these new platforms, your Palm and these other things are opening up, I think the competition's good. I'm curious to see what. Did you get a Recur Pass? Do you have one?
I do not have a Recur Pass. It's
Neither
too
do
too
I.
expensive now. I don't know. I'm still hesitant with paying for a pass for something that doesn't sell anything yet or does not have any products yet. But apparently all the Recur Pass owners think that it's going to be like like the VV 2.0.
Right, right. And then I just saw Steve Aoki posted something about Oddkey, and I just know they're just saying something's coming. I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know what that's gonna look like. I'm very
What do
curious.
you think? What do you think is it?
I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of faith in Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
I have no faith in Steve Aoki, um, mainly because I'm not, I've never been a fan of his music, but I do know that he worked with Impact. Are you familiar with Impact Theory?
No. No.
So Impact Theory is like the guy that runs Impact Theory, I believe, is the founder of Quest Nutrition, like the Quest bars.
Yeah.
And he sold Quest, started Impact Theory, and Impact Theory is kind of like a podcast. You know, he interviewed Gary Vee, like there's all of sort of that stuff. And he put out a comic book with Steve Aoki. So Steve Aoki has his own comic series.
Okay.
I forget what it's called, but the reason why I don't have any faith in Steve Aoki is because I don't see this comic book any. Like it seems like we've already tried to pivot into this new market and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous about what's ahead for Oddkey, but at the same time, I think Todd McFarlane I think he's the guy when it comes to marketing, planning, and selling these products. And I hope that we get a lot of cool stuff. But the weird thing is, I don't know what we're going to get as far as like he's killing it with DC figures. But if Veve has the licensing for DC, I guess all we get is Spawn. And I don't know if I'm really interested in jumping on a new platform just for Spawn stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've been noticing. I've been noticing multiple NFT marketplaces opening left and right, and I don't. I'm not as motivated in like buying NFTs from like 20 different platforms, you know. So because like more than likely we'll forget one of them, and then your whatever you spent is gone, right? So right now I'm sticking with Veve. I bought some from DraftKings, maybe
Okay.
OpenSea. I'll take a look. You know, DraftKings I like because of the sports cards and stuff. So I'm a sports guy too. Um, Maybe OpenSea, but down the road, like I haven't really, have any motivation to buy anything there yet because I'm pretty happy with the Veve marketplace. So, but everybody and their mother is like making a market NFT marketplace. So I'm not sure if I'll take a look, but I won't be as motivated if it's a one-shot deal. I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy anything
Yeah.
there. I mean, even Rob Liefeld, right? Like Rob Liefeld, I think. I mean, I wanted to get that NFT of one of his like books that came out, but then it was in an obscure platform, and then plus it was being sold for like $500. I was like, come on, man, that's a lot for a new comic too, you know. So they're almost like just taking it's a cash grab. So I was like, if you want to sell it, do it like Veve. They're selling comics for like $6-7, right? Why would you suddenly sell something for $500, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think I'm right there with you on all those points. So with that being said, this is the hour show. Nothmar, it's always a pleasure. I'm sorry I offended you with the Mighties talk. Hopefully next week they will 3x all of them across the board. Even Sue Storm, Mr. Fantastic, all of them.
Ben Grimm.
Ben Grimm to the moon, to the moon. Everybody else, thank you so much. This is the NFT Marketplace and Dojo. Have a good night. Take it easy, bud.
Good night.